Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video because I'm going to be talking about the new palettes from Victoria Beckham Beauty. So I picked up two of these. I picked up Olive and Victoria. I've had these for about a week now and I've used them each multiple times and I'm really excited to finally sit down and film with these. So I'm going to do swatches, I'm going to do a look per palette I think, and just get into what the formulas are like. Are these worth it? Especially because these are a very expensive little luxury palette. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup, and I really like sparkly indie makeup and high-end and luxury makeup, and I tend to be pretty analytical in the content I make. I try to make thorough, thoughtful videos, and I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so I'm gonna have timestamps for everything below like normal, but I'm gonna do a little bit of overview of the price. Oh, hi Bean. She it has a little pile of pillows and blankets right there she's been sleeping on. I'm gonna go over price, the packaging, all of that kind of stuff. We'll do swatches of both palettes and then a look per palette, I think, and then wrap up with final thoughts. And then Bean just moved. She's over here now for a Bean update. Okay, so these are a very expensive palette. Like I said, I picked up both Olive and Victoria, and they are very similar to the original ones, which I have one of, the eye bricks. But these are the eye wardrobe palettes, and these are now magnetic and refillable and substantially thicker. So let's talk a little bit about price. So when these first got launched, they launched at Neiman Marcus and Violet Grey and some of those other retailers before they were officially announced from Victoria Beckham Beauty. And on their websites, the original eye bricks were $65. This is the one I have in tweed. These were showing as the case as $75 and then the refills as $50. And I knew that that seemed wrong. So I held off. I saw people buying them and complaining about the prices, and I just held off because I felt like it was gonna be like the bronzing brick, where it was, I think the bronzing brick is like $75 or something for $80 for like I think it's like $80 for the bronzer and the component. And then it's like $45, $50 to buy the replacement brick to put in it once it's done. And so I thought once they were officially announced, it would be kind of that situation, and I was correct. So I'm glad I waited because instead of spending even more money, I got these, it was $75 per. So you can still buy the refills for $50, and they are magnetic, so you could put them in a magnetic palette if you wanted to, like a little mini palette in a palette, or you can buy the whole thing for $75, which is a lot of money for an eyeshadow palette, but I've definitely spent more than that. And Victoria Beckham is definitely in that luxury price range for basically everything else, so it doesn't really surprise me. So really quickly on packaging, when you get these, they come in a box just like every other Victoria Beckham product. Same kind of packaging, and they came in a bag and everything. And for these, I had 4 boxes. So I had 2 that had the case, and then 2 that had the eyeshadows separately. So they did come separate, and I had to put them together. And then for the ones that had the palette, you opened it up, and it just slid out the case, which is quite heavy. And for the other ones, it had a little plastic component like this that housed the refill inside the box. So all of this is recyclable, and I've recycled the other one, but that one will not get recycled. A couple things I also noticed immediately is that this has a 24-month shelf life and was made in Italy, which with the original one, I only have one of them, but it has a 12-month shelf life and was made in the United States. So different formula, different manufacturing, all of that. But the actual component is her classic tortoise shell and looks very similar. So this is the eye brick I have, and this is the new eye wardrobe. And you can see they look the same from the front. The hinge is different, and you can see some of those little details. But if I put them front to back, you can see this is the eyewear. They're the exact same size in this dimension, in like height and width, but it's in depth that they're quite different. So this new one is about twice as thick as the original one, and that's probably to hold the magnets and everything. This also does come, the original ones did have 8.5 grams of product, so while it was some people were annoyed by the component and that it was all one single pan and kind of messy because of that. You do get a little bit less with these new ones. So this one, it doesn't have a sticker on the back with all of the information since it's refillable. I think it's probably on the pans itself. But this is 8.5 grams and this is 7 grams. You get a little less product, but it's a very similar layout. So if you look side by side, you have one big pan, which is your like overall everywhere shade, like blending out shade, or in the black and white one, the more tuxedo replacement that I now want to buy. It's kind of a taupe satin. And then you've got a nice dark shade in both. This one has a satin and a shimmer. The other one just has the one shimmer. And then 2 dark shades, but very similar layout and concept. I do think the hinge in the new one is much nicer. It holds itself up nicely and it's a little easier to open. This feels a little stiffer and stickier to me. I still like this and I think this is cute, and this was a Christmas present for my husband because I've wanted him for a long time and I'm very happy I have that. I wore it to a job interview last week. And I got the job. But these are definitely, I like the way these feel a little bit more. These feel like a very luxe antique to me. They feel like a little antique, I don't know, like pillbox or something. I don't know, but they are really beautiful. So this is the Olive palette, as I've already shown. And then this is Victoria. Very happy I got both of these. This one I could definitely dupe easily. This one a little bit less, but really beautiful. Really happy I got both. And I want the other one, the like Night Flash tuxedo-y one. I don't remember the name of it right now. So I did double check, and the information that's normally on the back of the palette of the old ones is on the back of the magnetic the little magnetic palette. You can see it is flat. The case does have these little indents. I'm not really sure why it's not perfectly flat in there. My thought was maybe to make the magnet a little less strong, or I'm not sure, but it is a pretty strong magnet. So they're nice and secure. They clip in really nicely. I don't think I could pry them out with my finger because that is a pretty small little hole right there. I've been using my scary weapon-like letter opener to pull them out. So you might need a little tool or something, or like a little spatula. Like I have mixing spatulas for eyeshadow or for mixing products. Something like that would probably work pretty well if you don't have a scary weapon-like letter opener. Okay, so I'm gonna do swatches. I'm gonna do these on the back of my hand since I'm wearing my Babar sweatshirt and I don't really wanna take it off. And I'm also gonna do some comparisons to a couple shades from some of her lid lusters so you can see how they pair. So the first one I'm gonna do is Olive. This one is really pretty. You've got like a perfect warm brown, kind of a warm yellow leaning brown. It's a really nice all over lid shade, kind of a bronzer shade for me. So I think the formula claims to be like less powdery and like no fallout. The other one, the original formula, is pretty powdery, and this is soft and kind of powdery, but like there's definitely less kick up. So that is one swatch. It's like a perfect like bronzer. It looks like I have bronzing brick number 3. It kind of looks like that color, or one of them. And then if I do a little bit more, it does build up nicely. It is a really pretty color. It's not too opaque, but it's like the perfect amount, I think. And then the second shade is this olive toned satin shade, and it is very satin and a little thin. It's very soft. It's really beautiful. I like this kind of color. I have tons of these colors, but it is a little bit of a thinner shade. It does build up nicely and look pretty on the lid, but you know, if you're expecting like high impact, like creamy satin, it's not that. It's a little more powdery. And then we've got this really pretty green here, kind of more of a forest green matte. And then the last shade is the shimmer. And it is a really pretty like yellowy olive gold. It's not as olive as this, but it's not like a true gold either. It definitely, without direct light on it, it does look like an antique gold. And I think that's how it's described online. And then it looks a little brighter when light hits it. So here is the satin. The satin shade kind of reminds me of some of the shadows in one of the shadows in the Hermes palette I have. It's like a little thinner and buildable, and it does basically turn into a matte with a tiny bit of a sheen. And then we've got the darker green. You can see they don't swatch the best. They've performed very well on the eyes so far. I haven't had any complaints. And then the shimmer is a nice creamy, a little thicker feeling, not super thick, not where I feel it on the lids, but it's like a nice creamy feeling, but you can see you can buff it out nicely. And so that is the olive palette. I really like, I mean, I have tons of stuff that looks like this, so colors I like, but I had to try it in the new formula. And then the two lid lusters that I grabbed that I wanted to put next to this are Velvet, which is an olive, and Honey. So I thought this might be basically the lid luster formula in palette, and it's not exact, but it's not too different. So this is Honey. This one feels a little different from Velvet, and this one feels, Honey feels very similar to the texture of the antique gold. And then this is Velvet. Velvet feels a little different. Velvet is a little shinier, has a little bit of a different body to it. And you can see it's definitely more olive than antique gold. So here is Velvet, and you can see it's a little thicker, it's a little shinier. I love the lid lusters. So it's not exactly the same. And it's much more high impact, much more shine. So if you want a more subtle shimmer, I mean, these do build up nicely, but you're not gonna get the same sparkle and impact as the lid luster. And then here is Honey, which is a little thinner and like a little bit more reminiscent of what's in the palette. I know the lid lusters aren't all created equal, but I wanted to show it next to, especially Velvet. I think Velvet's gonna look really beautiful with these tones, because those are the kind of tones that go with it. But so this is Olive, Velvet, Honey. Okay, so now it's time to swatch Victoria. I really wanted to see what this would look like on my olive undertone, and so I was the most intrigued color-wise for this one, but now I really want the like Night Flash one. So now it's time for Victoria. This is the one I was most intrigued by, especially I wanted to see it against my olive undertone, so I've been really enjoying this one. It is definitely smoky though, which makes sense. It's Victoria, her go-to eyeshadow is a smoky eye, like every day, and this is definitely a smoky palette. So the first shade here is another matte, and it's kind of a taupe. I don't remember how it's described online, but it is a really pretty kind of taupe neutral. I think it's a nice kind of eye contour shade for me, or if you're lighter than me. So you can see it's a little more neutral than my actual skin tone. So it adds a little bit of sculpt, and you'll see on the eyes, it does build up nicely. So it's a nice base shade. I'm gonna do the other two mattes and then I'll do the shimmer. And so this is a nice charcoal. I think it's described as a gray. You can see, it's a nice charcoal shade. And this is, I think, described as a warm brown. It is a little silkier. I would say it's a warm brown, but it's like a red brown. So there's the charcoal, and there is the brown kind of smudged out. So you can see you can get a lot of depth pretty quickly with these. I haven't watched any other videos on these yet either. I really like the undertone. The charcoal-y kind of shade does have like a little bit of a purple undertone, I think. So I really like that. And then this shade kind of looks like Mink, but the palette version, and that's part of why I was excited by it. It's very creamy, it's really pretty. And in the right light, the reflect in it, the sheen, looks olive, like it looks green. So we'll put some right here. And it's just really pretty. So it does have a bit of a warm base. You can see there as you buff it out, the base color kind of matches this red brown. And then it's got that cool smoky reflect with like that minky brown. There's lots of little sparkle in there. And then, yeah, there's been a few times, I think I'll try to insert a clip here that I took when I first got it that were like in just like lighting in my living room next to this lamp or something. It looked almost green, and on the eyes, I don't know if it's my undertone, but it does look a little olivey, the sparkle or the sheen in it. And then I wanted to compare it to Mink. This is my favorite of the lid lusters. This is a lot of people's favorite. Has a little bit more body to it. You can see that like taupey mink color, and they are very similar. Getting a little bit of sparkle, but the lid luster is just shinier, more reflective, and a little thicker. It has more body to it. So it's kind of like like the palette version of it, and a little more, maybe a little bit more satin. Not quite, like not satin, but like it's not as reflective, but pretty similar. So if you have Mink and you have mattes you like to pair it with, I don't think you need this, but I do think it's a nice, or if Mink is like a little too much, maybe might be a good option, but it's similar, but not exact. Okay, so now let's get into trying the palettes. I'm gonna do a look with Olive first. I think I'm gonna do both tonight because I've already done multiple looks in the past week, so I know how they wear, and I am short on time this week. So I'm gonna do Olive first, and then we'll come back and we'll do Victoria after. If you were curious about the makeup I have on already, it is just what I wore to work today. So I have a little bit of my Elise Eldridge skin tint on, a little bit of the Victoria Beckham concealer under my eyes, and that was all I really had, that and some brow gel. And then before I started filming, I did get my order with the new Isamaya collection, or what I bought from it. I spent like $250. No, I spent $350. And there's still, I could easily drop another 200, but I did put on the black lip balm that I've wanted from Isamaya forever, because I have other lip balms from her and I've liked them a lot. So I was wearing that. It's kind of soaked in. And then I did buy one of the blush and highlighter duos. This is Nectarine. So I put that on to try it out. And so that is all that's on my face right now, that and some powder. I fully used up the brown one of these that I had already, so really happy that it's permanent and at Sephora, so easily accessible. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Olive. Like I said, I did put a little bit of my NARS eyeshadow base down. I have oily eyelids. I always have to use an eyeshadow base or a primer. So I did put a little bit of that down. And then I'm gonna go into the first matte, and this brush is just what I've been using this palette with, so it's got a little bit of staining. I do like to tap off still. There is a bit of powder. It is not a creamy formula. It's not like the Lisa Eldridge formula or a cream to powder. It's still kind of powdery. And I'm just going to lightly buff that everywhere as the base of the eyeshadow look, even the lid. And you can see one dip is just a nice soft wash of warm brown. There is a little bit of kick up in the pan. And the mirror is nice. You can use the mirror to do your eyes. I don't know if I'd want it. I couldn't do my whole face with it, but I could do my lips or my eyes with it. So that is a really pretty brown. It looks like I just put her bronzer all over my lid, which I have done many, many times. So if you like that look, that's basically what this is. Okay, so that is just the nice golden brown all over the lid. Really pretty. Could do that with bronzer though. So I'm gonna try to use all of them just to demo, and I'm gonna go into the olive satin shade first before I do the dark shade. I've done it both ways in my practices and wearing this to work. But I want you to really see the olive shade. So I'm picking that up with a flat brush. This is a nice packing brush. This is the O2 Max from Rephr. You can see it picks up a lot of product. And this one has just enough fluff that it blends nicely, so I'll use it with satins. And I'm gonna put that on the lid. And you can see it does get pretty smoky right away. I like that. And it is really pretty. I do think this works really well with your fingers as well. I did try it with other brushes and it did take a little bit more layering. So if you use a fluffier brush, like something like this, has a little bit more fluff to it, than this, you might need to do a couple layers, but just one layer and then buffing that into the brown is like a perfect everyday smoky olive look. I wore this to work the other day. I will wear this to work many times. And then I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more of the first shade and dust over the edges. You could also do the other way, put the olive down, blend the edges. So I think that looks really nice. And when I've worn it, it's lasted without any issues or fading, but I do use a primer. But this is kind of my everyday smoky vibe. Maybe run a little bit of the brown underneath and call it a day. Okay, so like I said, this I will definitely wear to work, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But really easy. I have other stuff I could do this with, but very happy I have this. And then for the dark shade, I'm gonna pick up this. This is the Refer Shoto 01. So it's got a little bit of flimsiness. You can see I've already used the shade with it. And I'm gonna pick up that dark kind of forest green. Again, you can see there's a little bit of kick up. I don't mind that. And if you want to add a little bit more green, you can put that out here. I have blended this into the crease already, put it all over this part of the lid to make the whole eye look a little more green versus kind of olive neutral. And I like this because it's got wispy edges, so it picks up a small amount and really kind of diffuses as you place it. Refer has sent me PR, but this is one that I bought myself. And you can see it added some depth out here, made the whole look a little more green. I think this looks more green, this looks a little more neutral, and you can see that little bit of extra smoke. Okay, really like that. Again, you could leave it here and call it a day. You could also use that dark green as just like a liner and put it all over the the lash line. But I really like the way this looks. This is probably what I will wear most of the time, but I do like the shimmer and I do want to show it off. So I'm gonna pick it up with my finger and I'm gonna just put that on the lid on top. So you can see it does melt in really nicely. It is not as high impact as the lid lusters. I think if the lid lusters are too much for you, if there's very much a going out thing, this might be a little more daily friendly as a shimmer. Or if you're someone that doesn't wear shimmers every day, you could wear the other shades and then, you know, have this with you and just tap this on. But I really like the way that looks. And I do think it layers on itself. So if I pick up a little bit more and put it in the center, you can see that adds a little bit more brightness there. So it does build on itself, which I appreciate. Okay, I'm gonna go do mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the final look with Olive. I just went ahead and added my Haus Labs mascara, which I am really liking the way it looks tonight, and my Merit 1990 lip, because I felt like it paired nicely with these tones. Really like this look. Like I said, I've done it for work already. And I've done wear tests. I've done wear tests with the shimmers and with the mattes. Lasted all day. No complaints. So really beautiful. Really like this. So let me know what you think of this. And then now let's go into trying Victoria. Okay, so I am back to do the second look with the Victoria palette. I did wash off the olive look and then reapplied some concealer. That's all I did. I just washed this little spot. I hated doing it. I loved the eye look, but I can redo it and I've already done that look basically before. I just really like how it turned out. I don't really like filming multiple looks in a day, but I know I'm not gonna have time tomorrow. Like, it's already late in the evening and my husband's on his way back from California on a plane, and I just know I'm not gonna have time to film tomorrow. So I'm gonna zoom in again. Okay, so I already put a little bit of the NARS eyeshadow base down, and I'm just gonna grab a brush. I've already used it for the same shadow. This is the 01 Max from Refer. This is one they did send to me in PR. I'm just gonna pick it up. You can see just kind of a taupey neutral. And I'm gonna put that on the lid to start to kind of set the base and give a nice wash for the whole look. You could obviously start with the darkest shade and blend up, but especially for something this smoky, I like to start in the mid-tone range, and this is as close as I got. Brush or brushes like this, because like the O1 is the same, this is just bigger. It's flat, but it's fluffy enough that I can pat on the lid and then really buff out. So you can see on my skin tone, it adds a little bit of coolness, a little bit of like cool neutral sculpt to the eye versus, I mean, this has primer down, but still. I think it's just like this. I think in person you see a little bit more of the coolness. It's kind of a really natural contour shade to the eye, which I like, and I have worn this, just the shadow. Okay, so I really like that. I'm gonna put a little bit under the eye as well, and then I'm gonna go into the others. And I feel like the more smoky palette, this is the kind of the satin shade. The satin taupe is gonna be like the same kind of vibe, but just a more satin. I really like that. Like I said, I've basically just thrown mascara on or my lash tint and done this. But now I'm gonna go into these shades. I'm gonna start with this brown, and I'm gonna pick that up on, this Sonia G brush. This is a packer, but a little more dense than the other one I used. And I'm gonna put that out here. You can see it's got a good amount of pigment. And you can put this all over the lid. I have done that if you want. And I might do that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Just so you can see what an all matte smoky will look like with this shade. And I'm just using the same brush. I put the darkest amount out here and blended inward and upward. And that's still the first tap in I did. And then I'm using the edge of the brush to push it into the crease. It's not perfectly blended in the crease with that brush. A fluffier one, a fluffier packing brush would do it better, like the O2 Max. But then if I go back in with the first brush with no product, it's all blended. So I did do this smoky eye to work the other day, wore it all day, really liked it. And you can see it is, yeah, that it's kind of warm brown, but not really. There's like, it's a brown, but there's kind of a purpley red undertone to it, especially on my olive undertone. I really like that. It's a nice, easy smoky eye. I really like that. Like I said, I've already done that to work before. I think it blends out really nicely. It blends into the other one, the first shadow really well. I just really like this as a smoky eye. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the more charcoal gray on this brush so you can see that. I've also put that all over the lid, but I think for this look, I'm just gonna put it out here. This is another Sonia G brush. This is from the, I don't remember, the Koi set. And I'm just buffing that out here. I like a brush shaped like this because you can see it's got a little bit of a dome and it gets a little tapered to the end so you can get kind of precise, but it's got a little bit of splay in the center so it buffs at the same time. So the products on the tip and the edges are kind of blending it in. So you can see it adds a little bit more smoke. You can put this all over the lid as well. I did that a couple days ago. So really like this. You could leave it like this if you don't want to use a shimmer, but I do want to show you the shimmer in this. And I'm going to use a brush this time so you can see. This is my favorite brush for most shimmers. This is a Rougher 21, so you can see just how flat it is. So if it's not like a satin that you want to buff, I really like this, and you can see it picks up really well. And I'm just gonna put that on the lid. I might use my finger as well, but I want to start with a brush. I don't have any fallout, and I didn't before either. So while they're not as creamy as some, you know, I did tap off my brushes. So for this one, see, I feel like there's like a little bit of green to the shine, for me at least. In person, I feel like there's like a taupey hint of olive in there, but I really love that. I love the way it looks paired with these mattes, the way it just, I just love it. This is my favorite of the two, if you couldn't tell. Those are like, those earthy tones are my everyday go-to. I have lots of them in my collection, so I had to get it, and I do really love that, and I love that look a lot. But something, I don't know if it's the you know, winter in Seattle, but this is where what I want all the time right now. Okay, so I just did on the other eye. I love this. If you want an inner corner, I would personally do like a matte inner corner, like like an off-white kind of shade. But you could also throw in like your face highlighter or something. But I'm gonna go throw mascara on and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look with the Victoria palette. I just put on my House Labs mascara again, and then I put on Meet Me in Berlin from Lisa Eldridge. Wow, I can't talk today. I love this look. I've done this look before. I love it. And you can simplify it. I really wanted to show how you could build and add things so you could see the different colors and so on, but you could do a simpler version of this with just the shimmer and maybe a little bit of matte on the outer corner and buffing the edges and stuff. But I really love the way everything layered together. I love this look, and I really love this palette. I don't think I'm gonna buy it right away because they are $75, but I do really want to get the like black, white taupe one. And I think that'll pair nicely with these because you can use that like almost white shade as an inner corner with all of these. So I really love this. Final thoughts. Compared to the eye bricks, so these were $65, this is $75, so it's a $10 increase. You do now get a magnetic. You get 1 less gram of product, or 1.5 grams less, but you do get the little dividers and you do get, you know, multiple finishes. So, and the formula I think is better. I really like this formula, but I think this is a better formula. And I think the overall experience of using these is really lovely. It's a very luxe formula. It's a very luxe packaging. Is it the most high impact shimmer? No. If you want high impact shimmer, I'd go with other brands, indie brands, or, you know, use like a lid luster layered over this for even more sparkle and shine. But I think these make sense for the brand. Really like them. I already want more. I kind of want the blue one, but I really want the like monochromatic black, white, gray one. These feel nice in the hand. You could just buy one whole one and then refills and switch them out and then keep the other ones in these. Like, they don't have to be in this, especially because this isn't labeled. So if you have one that you're gonna wanna like take with you, pop it in there and then have the other ones keep in the little plastic and just keep these. I'm not gonna do that, but that is a way to save a little bit of money, like $25 per, which adds up. Little less packaging. I'm not gonna do that, but I could see other people doing that. I think, like most Victoria Beckham products, most luxury formulas, I can't say, yes, this is perfect, go get it, it's for everyone. If it's worth it is always going to be a pro-con list for you. Does it fit your budget? Does it fit your lifestyle? Are these the textures and colors you like? Don't buy things just because they're hyped or just because someone you like has it or liked it. Really think about, are these gonna bring value to your life for this? I mean, Victoria Beckham does do some sales, like Black Friday, generally. I think sometimes they do one in the middle of the year, but I know they always do Black Friday, which is 20-25% off. So you can always wait, but I think this is a really nice replacement and like evolution of the smoky eye bricks and really fits for the brand. So I'm very happy with my $150 purchase. So let me know what you think. I'd love to talk to y'all in the comments below, like always. It is part of why I have this channel. So let me know, did you pick any of these up? Are you thinking about it? Do you have the old ones? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know what you think, especially if you've gotten them. What are your thoughts if you tried them? Let me know. Love to talk to you all. Let me know which look you like better if you prefer all of that. And I will, yeah. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. It makes such a big difference. And I will see you all in my next video.